The Modern Woman Tutorials. Your body, your choice. Something that I see a lot. So this is more about like the whole body count thing, about why it matters to guys. It's not the number. It's not that you've been with multiple dudes. It's the effects it has on you for doing that, the reason behind it, why you did it, right? And also, to me, the way I look at it is always the PTSD aspect of it. Because a lot of times you ladies do things that you don't want to do. You do it just because you're in love or because you don't want to make the guy mad, right? So you'll let him do things that otherwise you'll be against. So a lot of times you ladies don't give boundaries. Like, for example, you rather have sex with condoms, but you won't tell the guy to put it on. And if you do, and he's like, nah, I don't like it, blah, 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 you'll accept it, right? When you shouldn't. Because, of course, you're going to resent it. You're obviously going to regret it and have a problem with it. And that's the thing, is a lot of things y'all do a lot of things you let be done to you in the bedroom affects you negatively. Not every one of your body counts is a positive sexual experience. It's going to be negative. And then there's not just the sexual thing, there's also the relationship. There's the things he said, the things he promised you but didn't live up to, the lies he told you that you believed, and then you having all these regrets. So, lost train of thought, but you get the idea that, the things you do, the things you let be done to you and being said to you has an effect on you. Most of you ladies, at first, you get in your feelings, right? At first you fall in love. You only have sex out of love, first and foremost, before you start getting desensitized, right, as they say, start extracting the love out of it, because you loved so many times and got heartbroken so many times because you kept making the wrong decision of picking a guy based off of your feelings instead of based off of logic first, making sure the guy is a good quality dude, and then get to know him, which will lead to love. Because again, what you love is not what you see, it's what you know, as in what you hear, and what you should be hearing is the truth. When somebody says that they're a doctor, you'll see the proof of that, right? They don't even have to say it. You'll just see the proof. It's like, oh, okay, he got medical degrees on the walls. He has a nice car, nice house. He's respectful. He's a good person. He gives health advices. So he definitely is a doctor, right? That kind of stuff matters. So that's why it's important to talk to guys for a long period of time before you get physical. That way, you don't regret getting physical with the wrong guy, right? As well as you'll avoid the sexual PTSD is what I call it, because that's what a lot of you ladies have, right? Always talking about trauma, and it always leads to something physical, something sexual, or just something emotional. Something happened that emotionally made you feel some type of way, and you could have avoided that if you. There's a lot of things in life that would be hard to avoid, but when it comes to, again, your body, your choice. When it comes to you letting a guy have access to your body, you're choosing to have those issues be an issue. You're choosing to allow this person to use you the way they want to use you, right? Because you're not talking to. Most of you ladies don't tell the guy what you like and dislike. You'll just assume he's supposed to know what you like, and assume that he's not going to cross a certain boundary, certain line. Some of you ladies don't like to consume his material, right? But you'll let some guys do it, and then that becomes a problem because you know you're not a fan of it. You know, it should again, you're by your choice, right? So it should be your choice if you're going to consume it, as opposed to just doing it just because that's what he expects. When you should have already talked about that prior. Again, talking is so important. Talk about everything, including sex. If you're interested in having sex with a guy, you definitely need to have the sex talk with him, right? Let him know what you like and dislike, what you will and will not do. Because if he's against a lot of the stuff you say, he's like, nah, I'm not putting on a condom. I'm not. Nah, man, you gotta consume it. All this extra shit. You know, stuff that you don't agree with. At least you know what he's thinking. You know where he stands, and then you can choose. Right, you're by your choice. You choose if you're going to accept what he wants versus what you want, which more likely you won't, especially if you don't like that type of stuff, right? I always make sure that I have the sex talk with the ladies I deal with, because I don't want, there's certain things that I like to do, certain things that I want to do, and if they're not interested in doing it, I need to know that, and because I don't want to cross that line. I definitely don't want to be the guy that they regret letting him do the thing. Right. So, you never know until you know, right? So you never know what effects of agreeing to doing things that otherwise you wouldn't agree to is going to happen. And I want you ladies to be good, right? I want you to be happy. I want you to find a great guy. I want you to find a real man to spend the rest of your life with, right? To be happy. Or be alone, right? Which I don't agree with, but y'all ladies need to improve on finding the right guy. The problem is a lot of times y'all assume every guy's the right guy. No, you need to get to know the guy, because remember, what makes him the right guy is not what he looks like, it's who he is. It's what he does, his actions, his mindset. That's what makes him who he is as a person. So if you want a good guy, then you need to find a good guy first, as in you need to ask questions, get to know somebody, make sure that he's a good guy before you make any decision that you'll regret, right? All I'm saying is make better decisions. You know, I'm not telling you that, you're wrong, you're dumb, or, you don't know what you want. No. You know what you want, but you're not going about it the right way. You know you want a good guy, right? You want a good, decent guy. The problem is y'all always make the excuse of like, why can't I get a good guy that looks good? Or why can't I get a good guy who's a billionaire, right? You always want to add that extra layer of things to something, which makes it more complicated. It's like it should be common sense that if a guy is very attractive, he's going to get full of himself, right? His ego is going to be so inflated by being so attractive that he's not going to even have a good personality. He's going to feel like he's better than everybody. He's going to feel better. He's going to think he's better than you. You know, you want a guy who's humble, a guy who is better than you, right? You want a guy who's like Superman, but doesn't think he's a god, even though he literally has the power of a god, right? You want him to be like, I'm just an average guy, I like to do average things, but he is incredibly awesome. He can fly. He can run super fast. Like, you want a guy who's really awesome, who has the ability of Superman, but he acts and looks like Clark Kent, basically. That's what you want. You want a guy that when you need him to be Superman, he could be Superman, but every other time he's Clark Kent, right? But instead, y'all ladies tend to go after a guy that's constantly on God mode, constantly super all the time. So a lot of times he's going to start looking down on you. He's going to end up being like Homelander, talking about he's stronger, better, smarter than everybody, right? He's going to become arrogant. And that's the thing, when a guy gets too full of himself, when he starts loving himself too much, and that's where selfishness comes in, right? A guy is not supposed to be selfish. He's supposed to be selfless. So if a guy is selfish, that's already a red flag. If he's selfish and he cares more about himself and what makes him happy and whatnot, immediately that should be a red flag for you ladies. That right there is an indicator that, oh, this is the type of guy that is not going to respect me, care about me. He only cares about what he wants. He's not willing to compromise, because the real man compromises. A real man will make compromises. Even if I want you to do something, sexual in a certain way, if you're not willing to do it, it's like, okay, well, I'll make a compromise. I'll settle for something else, because I don't want to create a problem. I definitely don't want you to have a problem, like have a problem with me or have a problem with the situation if you're not comfortable with it, right? Your body, your choice, which also makes it your responsibility and your fault for whatever happens to you. This is why I encourage ladies to learn self-defense, because I'm tired of hearing ladies talking about, feeling afraid of a guy or for no reason, or, actually being in danger. Some guy is actually hurting you, but because you didn't learn to defend yourself, you're allowing yourself to be a victim, allowing yourself to get hurt. By default, guys learn to fight. By default, guys learn to defend themselves. Because by default, you're going to need to defend yourself, either from other guys, maybe a chick will attack you, or an animal. You need to be able to defend yourself, because defending yourself is part of surviving, it's part of life. Just like cooking is part of life, cleaning, these are useful skills to have. This is why I encourage ladies to go to the gym and lift weights, not necessarily to get in shape and to look good for us or anything like that, but to actually be strong. So if you're in danger from an animal or another human being, you have the physical strength to protect yourself, to get yourself out of danger. You don't necessarily have to fight, but at least have the strength to push the person away and run. It makes no sense if you're overweight and it's hard for you to run. That's your fault. You're guaranteeing that you're going to be in a bad situation where you need to run, but you can't because you're overweight, because your cardiovascular is weak. Now, being big is not, the issue. It's the lack of cardiovascular skill, the lack of muscle to move that weight is the issue. So being big is not the problem. Is that if you're big, typically that means you don't exercise. That means you don't do cardio. So your muscles are weak, and so is your lung capacity and your heart. So it boils down back to biology. Your body, your choice, right? So it's your choice. If you want to be weak, then don't be surprised you become a victim of somebody stronger than you, because you allowed yourself to be weak by not getting stronger. So go to the gym just to at least get stronger. So improve yourself, and mentally, emotionally, physically, right? Try not to get, ain't nothing wrong with feeling, positive emotions towards the guy, but don't let it overwhelm you. Don't let it control you and make you make bad decisions. That's why you're supposed to have a standard. The idea of a standard is that it's rules that you follow. Like, you're not going to be with a guy and waste time with a guy who's not 6 feet, if that's your standard. Or you're not going to be with a guy who's not in shape, because that's your standard. But a lot of times you ladies always ignore your standards, if you have them, and end up with guys that you eventually regret. It's like, you had a standard for a reason, so follow your standards. Those are your own rules. There's a problem when you can't follow your own rules. You created them, yet you don't follow them. Then there's rules in society that most of you ladies don't even follow, right? Certain etiquettes, right? That's why not having a high body count is important. It does matter, because it's important. It's an important indicator of who you are as a person, of your life experience. If you have a high body count, there's a probability that you have a lot of bad experiences, which is why you have a high body count. Because in reality, if you had good experiences, you've been with good quality guys, your body count will be low, right? If a chick says that she has a body count of 2, it's like, damn, so you had 2 great guys in your life. Has to be, because why is it just 2? You're not unattractive. You're an attractive woman. So if your body count is 2 and you're hot, it has to be because you were with great, with great quality guys. You were with guys that, treated you good and you were happy with. That you didn't need to go from one guy to the next, to the next, to the next. But if a chick has a high body count, it's like, damn, you must have met a lot of losers, or you must have met a lot of guys that said the right things, so you gave them the booty, and then that's it. Because saying you having a high body count is like working at 30 plus different jobs. It's like, oh yeah, I've had 30 plus jobs in 5 years. It's like, why do you have that many jobs? Why didn't you have one job for 5 years? Why do you have 30 plus jobs in 5 years? What is wrong with you? We're not going to be like, oh, these jobs must have been really crappy. They didn't appreciate you. They didn't treat you right. That's why you had to keep leaving, keep going to a different job. No. Logically, what was wrong with you? Because jobs love good employees. It's business, it's not personal. So if they hired you, it's because they thought you were going to do the job right and you were worthy of doing the job. So if you end up working a lot of jobs in a short period of time, that means there's something wrong with you, not the jobs, right? Logically. So if a guy hears that you have a high body count, that's what he thinks. He thinks, oh damn, you had a lot of failed relationships. And they don't think, oh, it's the guys that's the problem. Because guys are simple, right? What makes them happy, what makes them loyal, right? What makes them stay in the relationship longer is simple shit. Being nice, sex sandwich times, basic shit. So guys are not that hard to keep if you don't try to ruin the relationship. It's easy to keep a guy in a relationship. So if you're not in long-term relationships, that's a you thing. It's the same thing as a job. A job wants to keep you. They don't want to keep trying to replace you every time you quit, right? They don't want to hire you, then fire you, and then get somebody else, right? So it's like, so they want the best, just like guys want the best. So it has to be on you that you have this high body count because you kept failing. That's not a W for you to have a high body count. That's an L. For guys, it's different. Because guys had to earn these ladies' interest and get to the point that he was able to pass the talking phase. He said the right things. He did the right things. He had the right things. He had the height, the looks, the money, the cars, whatever he needed to do to get the job, basically, to get chosen up to the point of having sex. He earned that. It wasn't a choice. He had to earn that. He had to deserve that. For you ladies, it's a choice. You choose if you want to have sex with a guy or not. Right? Or let a guy have sex with you or not. Use you for sex or not. Again, your body, your choice. Which is your responsibility, your fault for whatever happens to it. So you can't try to put it on guys when they're just being guys. They're just being themselves. They're being who they was when you met them. And they kept being who they was. It's you that changed. You're the common denominator in all the situations. At first you liked the guy. After a while you stopped liking him. So stuff he does started getting on your nerves. Stuff that he always did. But you liked it before, but you don't like it now. I know that for a fact from personal experience. Things that chicks like about me at the beginning, after a while they stop liking it, which automatically lets me know that something's wrong. Like I do a lot of different things. Like for example, I do music, so most chicks that know that I do music, at first they're giving me compliments and they're being nice to me about it, right? Saying they like my music, and then after a while, when I mention my music or something, then they'll try to start saying negative stuff. Like, that's interesting. You always had nothing but nice things to say before, but now you don't. Something's going on. So then I start trying to connect the dots. It's like, okay, recently you and me disagreed on something, and clearly you're still mad about it. So now it's adding up, and it just starts compounding. It's like, yep, you're starting to lose the positive feelings you had for me, and now you're starting to have negative feelings. So before it gets really, really bad, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to try to make it better. I'm going to try to make you, try to make it where you're no longer have these negative feelings. But if it's not working, it's like, okay, I can't make you happy again because you already made up your mind that you want to be unhappy. Okay, well, time to let you go. And it's funny how sometimes they get surprised when that happens. They get surprised that I want to let them go. It's like because you're already leaving. You're already checking out of the relationship. So of course I'm gonna let you go. I'm not gonna wait until you do something really fucked up, like cheat on me, to let you go. It's like, no, I'll let you go and you do you. Right? So it's like the whole, I'm not gonna let you quit the job of being my girlfriend. I'm gonna fire you. Right? When I start seeing the decline in your performance in the relationship, I'm gonna fire you and replace you. Right? And hopefully you do better. And they typically do, which I'm happy for. I want them to do better. But most chicks tend to not do good after breakups, but most of my exes are doing good. So that's good to hear. I want them to do better. I don't want them to do worse. I know I'm a good influence, so I should have been the standard. I should be able to have elevated their standard and made them realize, what more do they want out of a relationship. So whatever good things from me they got should transfer to the next guy, right? Should be like, okay, the next guy gotta be a lot like him, right? A lot like my ex. Because a lot of times ladies take their negative experience from their ex and then put essentially the blame onto the next guy. Treat the next guy like he did those things when he didn't. So I do my best to make sure that I'm a positive influence on the chicks I deal with. So that way when they're no longer with me, they have nothing but nice things to think about when they move on to the next guy. And hopefully the good qualities in me are the things that she finds in him and the next guy. Instead of trying to find the negatives and trying to find reasons to hate the next guy, I want her to find reasons to like the next guy. So I want her to be with somebody, even if that somebody isn't me. So that's what I'm saying, ladies. It is your body, it is your choice, but it's also your responsibility and your fault for whatever happens. You need to make better decisions. I know you can do it. You're capable of doing it. You just gotta try it. And teach other ladies to do the same. The better you are at getting along with guys, you should teach other ladies to do the same so they can be better, so we can all be better.